guys, it's me, Angie, aka Traditionally Modern Mama, and today I'm here with Sammy and Alex. Sammy is my daughter, and Alex is just like another one of my children, so I claim her as my daughter too. So I went on Twitter and asked you guys to submit questions for my teenage girls to answer, and they're going to answer it honestly and truthfully. A lot of you guys did ask the same questions, so here we go. Ready, girls? What do you think about your parents setting boundaries, like curfews or telling them where you're going at all times?
I feel like boundaries are a good thing as long as they aren't taken to the extreme. And it depends on the child and how their relationship with the parent already is. So if you already have a bad relationship and the parent tries to set boundaries, the child's most likely not going to like it. But for me, since I'm a little bit older teenage side, since I'm 17, I feel like boundaries should be less, but they should still be there for safety reasons, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with Alex that boundaries are okay in like moderation. Like don't go overly too controlling with it, then that's gonna cause that child to like rebel because they're not gonna wanna listen to you if you're overly controlling of like their lives.
So is it safe to say in most cases, especially if you have a good relationship with your parents, that you would want boundaries set for you just for your safety and knowing that they're there for a reason?
Yeah, because, I mean, it depends on the reason too. Because if you're setting boundaries just to set boundaries, then that's good because you're a parent. You're supposed to set boundaries. But if you're setting boundaries and then decide to change your boundaries, like say they can come in at a certain time and they come in at that time and you get mad because they were out too late, then that causes problems. So it depends on the way you do it.
Okay.
Yeah, just...
Okay. How do you feel about parents checking on your social media?
Your mom even do this anymore?
She used to. She doesn't do it as much, or she doesn't do it to my knowledge, but I'm sure she does it still sometimes. Just don't know.
I mean, I guess as long as you're not overly parenting about it, like I understand making sure because a lot of colleges and jobs do check your social media website, but as long as they're not too overly checking every tweet, and if you say one cuss word accidentally in a tweet, and them not getting too overly parent about it, I guess.
Parent about it, okay. What is one thing you wish you could tell your parents about what teenagers go through today?
Mostly about this, like, the way things are, almost, like the way things aren't the same then as they are now, especially since we have social media. So even you can go to school and be one person, but on social media you be a completely different other person. But people around you, and especially in high school, do not care about who you really are. They only care about how you present yourself as. So they see, oh, she acts like that, or she does this, or she does that, so she's that person instead of getting to know you. And I think like that's the hardest part because it was easier to get to know a person back further, like in like 90s and the 80s and 70s. Like it's easier to get to know a person based off of who they are, but since we have all these other obstacles like social media and the way society views teenagers, so it gets harder.
Okay. But another thing with social media, I feel like a lot of parents of teenagers, they are quick to judge social media, because personally I've met some amazing people, and there's some people that you need to stick away from, and like parents should like learn that like being on the internet overall on social media, like on YouTube and stuff, isn't overly a bad thing. You just need to make sure your child understands where like it's too far to talk to an internet friend. Like I have friends and I like know they're real, but just make sure social media isn't all bad. Like there's a lot of good sides to it.
Okay, great. And what scares you about becoming an adult?
Probably the way, like, income, money, because as a teenager, I just got a job. So getting money is probably going to be hard because I'm probably just getting minimum wage. And that's fine because it's money. Money is money. But the scariest thing is finding a job where you can actually live and survive in the real world. Because even as a teenager, you're in the realish world, but like you go different places. You're going to be different. You're not going to be living at home. You're not going to see your family and your friends every day, and you're going to be on your own. So that's like the scariest part, knowing that in a sense, even though you have people, you're alone in a sense. So that's the scariest part of becoming an adult.
I feel like my scariest thing is obviously I'm going to have to get a job and everything, but my biggest fear is I'm not going to be able to find a job where it's not a job to me, because I know there's some people who do a job just to get the money for it, but I want to, my biggest fear is not going to be able to find that one job that's going to make me not hate going to work every day. Yeah.
So anything else you girls would like to add?
Being a teenager is hard, especially now. And sometimes it's bad and you don't want to be a teenager and you want to grow up, and then other times you just want to be a kid again. So just life in general as a teenager is more difficult today than I feel like it would have been if I was born in 1989. Maybe growing up being like a younger child, maybe in the 90s, I feel like would have been a little bit easier than it is being a child born in 1998 and then growing up where we are and being a teenager and now, because it's more difficult. And sometimes I just wish I could not worry about the things I worry about subconsciously, and then it gets difficult.
I feel like agreeing with Alex, the social media aspect of it is really new to still a lot of people because it's on the rise still. But I feel like as teenagers everybody feels like now that the social media aspect of it is more important than the real life aspect of it. So it's oh, I have to post the most perfect selfie on Instagram to get the most likes so I look cool in the real world. But in a few years, I have to remind myself sometimes that the followers I have on Twitter or likes I get on Instagram aren't going to matter when I'm in my 20s and in college and trying to get a job.
So just one last question. This is for me. How am I doing as a mom?
I mean, I don't live with you 24/7, so I can't say exactly how you're doing, but to me as a mother, as a person that I see most of the time, I think you're doing perfectly fine. But then again, I don't live with you all the time.
I agree. But I live with you most of the time.
All right. Well, thank you guys for seeing this video, and thank you guys for subscribing. I want to thank Sammy and Alex for joining me today. So I will see you next time. Leave a comment below letting me know any other things you would like to see or anything you would like me to ask them in the future. So I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.